this warrior speech before she gave her actual speech to the House guests about keeping her there. First of all, maybe, Devon didn't know what's going on with Breonna Taylor because she's been locked inside that house for so long, but Breonna Taylor was not innocent, an innocent woman. Just when they first came out with this Breonna Taylor thing, they positioned it as though Breonna Taylor was laying in her house, in her bed. Randomly, police showed up there, burst their way inside, and just randomly shot her to death as she slept. Come to find out, that's not what happened at all. They had a warrant they were serving on the house. They came in and her boyfriend started wildly firing his gun at the officers and then basically used her as a human shield. There are two different stories. And that includes black trans lives? Who's going after black trans people? Well, what is she even talking about? It's everywhere. People are just sick of it. We can't watch sports. We can't watch movies. We can't listen to comedy. We can't do anything that we used to do to be able to get away from this insanity. And now we have to hear it from people even on shows that have nothing to do with politics whatsoever. And this is all it is. She literally said this one. And this really bothers me because I watch this show. She literally told somebody, there was this guy, David, who's a horrible player on the show. He is horrible. There's David, and then he was up against someone else to be evicted. And Devon told the other person, who happened to be white, that she thinks that she's a better player, but she can't vote to keep her because she's not black. Tell me how that isn't racist. And what happens? People hold this woman up on a pedestal. Things are so backwards. They really are. Sorry about that tangent. So we had two officers basically shot point blank in an ambush in California. We have leftist politicians who realize that the country is really going to lose their minds over all of this violence sooner rather than later, and it's translating into the ballot box, trying to come out and save face and support our law enforcement after literally there are like dozens of precincts that are going through this defund movement right now because these politicians have no cojones and they can't stand up and just put their foot down and say no. These little prissy leftist activists are running around like the world owes them something. And it's enough already. We don't owe you anything. Stop committing crimes and putting yourself in situations where you're going to be in violent confrontations with the police. And then they'll stop hurting you. Like, you can't come charging at an officer with a knife above your head trying to stab him and expect that they won't protect themselves. If I were randomly on the street and some guy was coming up to me with a knife over his head in a frantic way like this one was, and I was armed, I would have shot him too. It's just so sort of on the same wavelength, but different. Friday, there was a screenshot shared with me by somebody in a chat group that we're in. It was Seth Levy on Twitter. It's at Seth J. Levy. The Reckoning is his screen name. Really great account to follow if you're not. Shared this screenshot with me that is purportedly from the George Floyd case, which is publicly available, by the way. And you can find it on the Minnesota website. The screenshot says, trying to find it. The screenshot says it's a notice of motions. And it shows that apparently in 2019, there were, on May 6th of 2019, there was medical intervention at Hennepin County Medical Center for accidental drug injection, at which time Mr. Floyd disclosed that he snorts oxy daily, was hypertensive and not taking medication, took street drugs prior to the admission into the hospital, and while he was under arrest was tearful because he was accused of selling drugs by the police and has been abusing opiates for the last year and a half. He actually took the drugs to hide them from the cops, which is what they allege that he did with the fentanyl in the car before he passed away at 9:30 p.m. that evening. So I started looking into this because I wanted to read this for myself. If and when you are going to be sharing a screenshot of something, when you slice it, when you cut it, if it's in a court case, please make sure to try and include the case number or some identifying information on the top, because this screenshot doesn't have that. It looks exactly like the rest of the motions that were filed in the case, but I could not find this. I set off to try and verify it for myself before I ran with it. And I tried to find it and couldn't. Somebody just did. So it is real. I could not find this on the docket. I don't know why, but I did find something else. I'll put the link to it in the description box. What I found is super interesting. It is a screenshot that I provided of a motion that was filed just the other day. I'm going to share it here. It is a notice of motion and motion for disclosure. It says the state of Minnesota, the prosecuting attorneys in the above, to the state of Minnesota, prosecuting attorneys in the above entitled case. Please take notice that on September 11th, 2020 at 9 or as soon thereafter as counsel may be heard, we will be moving for an order as follows. They want the disclosure of the body-worn camera, video, and audio from the arrest. And number 2, any and all files pertaining to Mr. Floyd's cooperation as an informant, parentheses, snitch, close parentheses, for the Minneapolis Police, FBI, or any other state or federal law enforcement agency, either before or after May 6th, 2019. This includes information from ongoing and closed investigations, documents, and other information prepared as part of the vetting process to become an informant cooperator, and any police report or case materials where Mr. Floyd worked as a cooperator, CI, CRI, concerned citizen informant, or other status. That is super interesting to me. George Floyd as a CI for the FBI. Now, I'm working on a story. A lot of people dug into the nightclub where both Chauvin and Floyd worked. A lot of people did a lot of work to dig into the money laundering business that they purport was going on there, the bust from Canada there, all kinds of stuff. There's more. There's more. There's more. There's more that hasn't been uncovered yet. So I'm looking there. I'm working on it. Stand by on that one. It's going to take me some time, but it's something else. So we got that in the Floyd case. Again, all of these incidents, nothing is, all of a sudden out of nowhere, boom, we have crazy. Boom. And then the story that is put out is nothing like what happens afterwards. So now you can't have a police officer confrontation with the criminal without riots and looting and craziness going on. And they're not slowing down. It's not slowing down. It's just not. So from here, I wanted to move into another piece that's come out from, well, actually, let's first go through this thread. We'll first go through this thread from Rising Serpent on Twitter. Rising Serpent. He is really, really good at what he does. And this thread talks about ActBlue and how ActBlue is appearing like it is a money laundering operation at this point. He goes through some statistics and information, which I will provide to you right now. It's a really great thread. I'm going to link it in the show notes. So he says, BLM is a 501c3 tax-exempt left-wing Marxist-leaning organization created by 3 women, Alicia Garza, Patrisse Cullors, and Opal Tomit. Cullors compared Trump to Hitler, saying he is literally the epitome of evil, all the evils of this country. BLM is sponsored financially by the leftist group Thousand Currents, whose board of directors includes convicted terrorist Susan Rosenberg, who was active in the May 19th communist organization, which FBI stated openly advocates overthrow of the U.S. government through violence. On June 8th, managing director for the Black Lives Matter organization, Kaylee Scales, conducted a disastrous Reddit AMA during which she was hard-pressed to disclose where and how exactly the money received from donations for BLM was being used. ActBlue is a nonprofit technology organization established in June 2004 that enables Democrats, progressive groups, and nonprofits to raise money on the internet by providing them with online fundraising software. Nothing suspicious about that so far. He says, however, like pretty much everything else, the devil's in the details, literally. Upon reading the fine print of ActBlue's policy, many interesting details begin to emerge. It says this, in the event that a campaign or committee, A, fails for 60 days to cash a check from ActBlue, which includes your contribution, after ActBlue makes repeated attempts to work with the campaign to ensure all checks are cashed, or B, affirmatively refuses a contribution earmarked through ActBlue, your contribution will be redesignated as a contribution to ActBlue. What this means in plain English is that at ActBlue, all they have to do is let the 60-day period elapse and those donations would be free for them to release and handle as they see fit. The money could end up in the coffers of Democrat and progressive campaigns. Considering the total amount of money that BLM has received to date is in the hundreds of millions, if not more, it makes ActBlue a formidable fundraising leviathan with absolutely no other contemporary peer. What's even more fascinating, says Rising Serpent, is that right up to BLM's fundraising going nuclear in the wake of George Floyd's death, Democrat fundraising was lackluster and significantly trailing Donald Trump. Another data point lends credence. The ActBlue is a money laundering front hypothesis is the recent revelation that almost 50% of donations to ActBlue came from untraceable and unemployed donors. More than 4.7 million donations came from people who claimed they did not have an employer. Those 4.7 million donations totaled $346 million that ActBlue raised and sent to liberal causes. An examination of 2020 data from January through August showed an uptick in unemployed donations through ActBlue to 50% this year. So 50% of all of the donations to ActBlue came from individuals who aren't employed and therefore don't need to disclose the name of their employer as mandated by law. How convenient is that? Let it sink in. Let it sink in. But wait. There's more. A major portion of this data haul was from 2019 at a time when the unemployment rate was under 4%. A full 50% of the donations to ActBlue came from unemployed individuals when unemployment was at 4%. That should strain the credulity of even the most terminally gullible Democrat. For comparison, last year, the Republican Party created a competing fundraising platform called WinRed to counter ActBlue's prowess in small donor sourcing. An analysis of WinRed's 4.9 million donations totaling $302 million found that only 4% came from people who did not list an employer or were unemployed. This year, the rate is 5.6%, according to the data. Both WinRed and ActBlue note on their donation pages that the law requires donors to list their employer and occupation. However, here's where things get super interesting. ActBlue doesn't allow banks to verify the identity of the cardholder, meaning someone could buy endless gift cards and list any name they wanted and leave the employer line blank or type in the words like not employed or unemployed. When you look back at a side-by-side year-by-year comparison, in 2019, a little over 47% of all donations to ActBlue came from unemployed donors. The unemployment rate was under 4%. This year, that number is up to 50%. The odds that at record low unemployment rates, the Democratic Party received disproportionately high donations from unemployed individuals who continued to give them even more money even after the unemployment rate tripled in the span of a year is practically zero. Both BIM by its very birth and ActBlue by design employ hazy opaqueness in their modus operandi and act in fairly complementary ways. One's an openly Marxist organization tasked with the destruction of traditional family structure and an overthrow of the Western civilization. The other is a fundraising environment convoluted to the extreme and skilled at obscuring the origins of its funding. Indeed, all evidence points to it being a money laundering front for dark money, especially from foreign actors. Record fundraising hauls can surely be organic, but if they are, there would be absolutely no reason to obscure them. A more logical explanation is that foreign money is now front and center in Democrat politics because this election is their fight for survival. Viewed from a higher vantage point of perspective, the events of the last 6 months are in essence a socialism trial period. Uncontrolled chaos, violence, government-mandated lockdowns and curfews, empty food shelves and pantries. Sure sounds like socialism, doesn't it? He says this to close at rising_serpent. This was never about race. It has always been about control, absolute control over every aspect of our lives. Or in other words, Marxism. An overthrow takes money, unusual violence requires many lives lost, and a complete erosion of trust. And we're almost there. Wake up. That's a really amazing thread on what ActBlue seems to be doing with all of the money that's pouring into their coffers from goodness knows where. Foreign influence. You want to talk about foreign influence? By the way, Frank told me a bunch of you guys emailed him requesting throat punches. Very, very appreciated. Thank you so much. So moving right along. Something that I've been following very closely over the past several days. The fires. The fires on the West Coast. Now, the FBI has come out and told us that there is disinformation floating around, that these fires are being set by extremists. That is not the case. Please stop sharing this disinformation. It's harmful. And I'm sitting there saying, let me wipe my eyes and rub my eyes for a second and take a look here at all of the eyewitness firsthand accounts and all of the arson arrests that have gone on the West Coast from north to south all the way down. Dozens. One person who has been following this story very closely, and I have been also following very closely, is Katie Daviscourt. Katie Daviscourt has been is a journalist in Washington. She does U.S. and local Seattle politics. She's with TPUSA as well. And I reached out to her and asked her if she would be willing to write up a series of stories, because she's got a lot of sources and contacts in the area with law enforcement and the fire department and politicians. And I asked if she would be willing to come on board with UncoverDC and work with me on a story to document all of this, and she agreed. So Katie will be writing for UncoverDC about this story. She's been doing an absolutely fantastic job of documenting all of this, and I'm excited to work with her. I really am. I want you to listen to a few clips that I'm going to share right now that she's been tweeting out of firsthand accounts of arson. There have been sheriff deputies that have come out and said it. A lot of them have been removed from office because of it, but we're going to go through some of this right now on the podcast, and make sure you stay tuned. Because I've got a lot coming in on this. I've got a lot of firsthand accounts. I requested some people to email me their firsthand accounts of nefarious happenings. I have called in to some very important people I should have coming from very soon, and we're not going to let this go. I don't, anybody that starts a fire like this is an extremist by definition. I don't care if you can tie them to Antifa or you can tie them to BLM or what. You're an extreme. If you're setting fires, they're absolutely destroying and killing people and killing it. You're an extremist. Jeffrey Accord is one of those people. Jeffrey Accord was arrested and related to the arson along the 167 highway. And this is Ferguson. He called in his own arson. Then we've got Puyallup PD arresting a 36-year-old resident caught in the median setting a fire. 90% of the fires erupting are in close proximity to residential areas. Oregon is red. Here is an officer with Medford Police in Phoenix, Oregon.
So I've been all up and down these fires, and I've been evacuated myself. And I can't help but notice that all of these fires seem to have started within throwing distance of I-5.
He's nodding.
Well, now we've got our second one in the same place in Central Point, Medford area. That
Second one in the same place?
Yeah, that one's very suspicious. That one I feel will probably be man-made.
So
So that officer agrees. There is a video of a fire in Graham, Washington, where you can see a vehicle drive off right before the fire erupts in the top right-hand corner. Chief Peterson of Dexter Fire confirms that a middle-aged man with arm tattoos was seen lighting 2 fires in the bushes at Dexter State Recreation in Oregon. Then we have Ilias Newton Pendergrass is accused of first-degree arson in the Sweet Creek Milepost 2 fire, which covers 382 acres near the community of Mapleton. Pendergrass, a Mapleton resident, is being held. Governor Inslee is blaming climate change for the fires, even after multiple reports of arson. This morning, there is a manhunt for Zachary Lang, who is subsequently captured, I believe. Lang is a Portland anti-fascist currently facing multiple felony riot charges. The manhunt came after reports of a male in black starting fires. She says may be unrelated. Details to come. Very coincidental. Here is another clip. Well, first Katie says, a source within the fire department who's been fighting the fires in Bonnie Lake, Washington, told me, quote, these fires are 100% due to arson. Forest fires don't happen in residential neighborhoods. In my 30 years as a firefighter, I've never seen anything like this. Washington State Patrol arrests another individual in connection with arson along SR 512. Sources confirmed with law enforcement today believe the fires along the West Coast are coordinated arson attacks. Heard over the police scanner, we have the following. This is in Clackamas County, Oregon. Here.
Forecasting a suspicious vehicle, 213 northbound 205. It's a dark Subaru with Texas plates, throwing Molotov cocktails, and a silver SUV, unknown Texas plates, CAC 810.
Okay. They're launching criminal investigations left and right. 2 arrests made inside evacuation zone by MCSO detectives patrolling evacuated area. Charges include gun, drug, and bomb-making materials. Silverton, Oregon. Let's listen to this. A husband fighting the fires ran into 2 individuals wearing gas masks trying to set fire to a hay barrel in a field. This is his wife, the fireman's wife.
You guys, I don't know what else to do, so I'm coming live on Facebook, which I've never done before. But Scott has, as you guys know, has been up on the fire, the Will Hoyt fire, on a bulldozer for the last 36 hours or something, and he was going to go home and check on our house because and he was driving from up on the hill, and he came down the hill and in Markham turned right, and there's a hayfield right across the street from our driveway, and there's right before Markham Circle, and he noticed out in the hayfield there's some big round bales, and one of them has a smiley face on it. I'm sure if you live out there, you know what I'm talking about. And he noticed 2 guys in gas masks out there, and they're trying to set the freaking field on fire, the hay bale on fire, the big bale. So he pulls off to the side of the road and gets out of the truck, and the guys run and get in their car and are headed towards Silverton. Scott has been on the dozer. He has no idea what's going on. He doesn't know that this has been happening. I know there was a sighting of 2 guys in gas masks last night up on Sawtell trying to start a fire, which somebody then said was false, and somewhere else as well. So I'm here to tell you that is actually happening. Scott watched them trying to start a fire on that round bale across from our driveway on Highway 213, right?
So tell me again, FBI, Katie says, fake news. Seattle Times claims there are no coordinated arson attacks, despite DNR classifying over 30 fires in Washington as arsons. 30. Here's another one, another video. Clackamas County Sheriff's Office told bystanders at the scene of the fires that they're arresting individuals in connection with setting fires. Arsonists can be seen under arrest in this video. Here, it's just a couple people that are driving.
So, went down to Malala and going to Canby next to pick up some horses, take them up to Saddle Club, to Clark County Saddle Club. For everybody who is saying that it's just speculation that people are setting fires intentionally, I just want to say, yeah, we were just told by Clackamas County Sheriff's Office that they are arresting people right up there, walking around with ARs and stuff, arresting these people who were intentionally setting fires. So, for those of you who don't think people are intentionally setting fires, you are wrong. Anyway, we're off to pick up a couple more horses.
I'm sorry, FBI, can you tell me again about extremists not setting fires? They're just lying they're gaslighting people. There's so much more. DNR has confirmed over 30 arsons occurred around the same time in Washington state alone. Dozens of arsonists along the West Coast have been arrested. There's only been one confirmed link to a leftist arsonist in Washington state. And the FBI in Portland says reports that extremists are setting wildfires in Oregon are untrue. Help us stop the spread of misinformation by only sharing information from trusted official sources. You know who the trusted official sources that I trust are? The citizens who are watching their neighborhoods burn to the ground. Note how this mentions wildfires, says Katie. I'm so excited she's writing for us. My focus is exposing the nearly 100 plus arsons that continue to pop up around highways and residential neighborhoods. The fires are a combination of downed power lines in forests and arsons around our communities, per source in the fire department. In this next video, she shows an individual in a fiery area in the forest putting accelerant on it. Here's Gavin Newsom continuing to blame these fires on climate change.
This perfect storm. The debate is over around climate change. Just come to the state of California. Observe it with your own eyes. It's not an intellectual debate. It's not even debatable.
Gavin Newsom is just a complete...
We're in the midst of a climate emergency.
Yeah, climate emergency.
We're in the midst of a climate...
Douglas County, Oregon, male arrested on September 8th with charges that include reckless burning. Breaking, new confirmed arson in Multnomah County, Oregon. Deputies responded to a small brush fire in the 1700 block of Northeast Brower Road in Corbett at 3:52 p.m. Neighbors heard pops and saw 6-foot flames in the forest. Using a shovel and water, they were able to put it out. Deputies found fireworks. Here is a 2-minute 20 clip of a sheriff in Clackamas County. What I'm worried about is that there are people stashing stuff. It means they're going to go in preparation. I don't want to sound like a doomsdayer, but it's getting serious. We need the public's help on this. Let's listen.
All right. Can we find out where? Because here's what I'm worried about. Bob, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm worried about is that there's people stashing stuff, right?
Right.
It means that they're going to go in preparation. Mm-hmm. All right. And I don't want to sound like some doomsdayer,
right,
but it's getting serious, and we need the public's help on this.
There are people that are not going to leave their homes, and if this happens, if they start igniting more fires, people are going to die.
Right.
That's not okay.
No.
It shouldn't be okay with anybody on Cop Watch.
Hell no, it's not.
Anybody in the world right now.
No.
That's absolutely crossing a huge line.
Right.
Is he with
politics
you?
Or anything.
Is he part of your crew?
No one's with me. Okay. I'm by myself.
All right, because he was mean mugging, and I was like,
yeah.
You want to go talk to that guy?
Yeah.
There was something up with him. So if you know anything, please get a hold of me. And again, you can video this. I don't really care.
Right.
I don't. Hell, I'll even show you my name. You can get that on your camera too. Okay.
Do you have a business card?
I don't. I'm all up. I'll write my name down.
Okay.
And you can call me. Okay. And if you need to spell that out.
Yeah.
What guy said it?
Yeah. But yeah, I was up there in the hills driving around looking for the fire and also looking for looters.
If you find it, put that camera to work. So I want license plate numbers, vehicles. You can get their face. We want, cause it's horrible up here right now.
Right. And a lot of the people believe that if the fire does hit town, the sheriffs will be gone, and basically it's going to be whatever people's here.
I'm going to be surprised. They've now pulled all fire personnel from the front lines because they're waiting for this just to explode.
Yeah.
So just for your own safety, I don't know where you live. I don't really care, but I don't know what the timeline is on it, but it's serious.
Yeah. Well, if it comes here, I'm going to stand right in the middle of that parking lot right there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So
on the gas can.
But seriously, if you get any intel, because I know you're pretty well linked with some of the community as far as that stuff goes, please call us. This is important because, and I'm going to say this.
And that's going on. How do you another one, man charged with arson in connection with Alameda fires. Michael Jared Bakela, 41, was charged with 2 counts of arson along with 15 counts of criminal mischief and 14 counts of reckless endangering. FBI Portland says there's nothing to see here. Move right along. There's nothing to see here, people. The sheriff in the video we just watched or heard has been placed on leave. On the evening of Friday, September 11th, this is an official statement from the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. On the evening of Friday, September 11th, the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office was made aware of inappropriate statements made by one of our patrol deputies while he was on duty and in uniform. Clackamas County is currently in a state of emergency due to several wildfires in our county. It appears the deputy was aware he made these comments while on video. At the time of the comments, the deputy was tasked with ensuring that the residents knew of the wildfire hazards while he was patrolling the area. He has been placed on administrative leave while our professional standards unit investigates the violation of policy. Statement, quote, from the sheriff. As soon as I was made aware of this incident, I moved swiftly to place this deputy on leave while we investigate. The sheriff's office mission is to provide calm and safety, especially during unprecedented times such as these. I expect nothing less of our deputies and apologize to all in our community. There's nothing to apologize about. This guy cares and was just doing his job. Here's a photo of a man in Auburn, Washington with a chainsaw pushing an oil drum. After months of... And then we've got, hold on. Multiple sources in our law enforcement believe the arsons are coordinated, but can't confirm who's involved. Another arrest, Ignat can't. Here's the climate change narrative by Inslee.
The winds. And these are conditions that are...
Can barely hear it. This woman held an arsonist at gunpoint after catching him with matches.
Did you light anything on fire? No, ma'am. What are you doing with those matches on your head? You don't want to have matches right now. Did you light anything up on fire?
I smoke. She's got him at gunpoint till the cops get there. She doesn't mess around. There's confirmed reports of looting. There's reports of extremist groups staging gas cans for later destruction. Reports and sightings of people armed with chainsaws. This is Clackamas, Oregon Captain Jeff Smith. Let's listen to this clip, shall we?
If I could hopefully elaborate and give you guys some information, so it helps in helping you make your decision on that. So yeah, the reason we're asking for a curfew, and we would probably liken that to the time of the noise ordinance to be implemented around 10 p.m. overnight. There are lots of confirmed reports of looting, mostly in the outlying areas, Estacada, Colton, Moala, Sandy, mostly in the outlying areas. Lots of looting has been taking place, burglaries and whatnot. There's reports of, and this is not specific to an area, but all over the county, both outlying and even closer into town of people of extremist groups staging gas cans for later destruction. And equally concerning is there are reports of people from other extremist groups. It's not confirmed Antifa, but suspected Antifa. This is more specific to the Estacada area. Reports and sightings of people armed with chainsaws. And the goal was to fall telephone poles in hopes of starting further fires. And that's all the information I have at this point.
There are no extremist groups.
All right. So
there are no extremist groups out there. There are none. Right? I mean, the FBI said so. All of the governors are saying this is climate change. Here's more from Captain Jeff Smith.
this is some media thing. I mean, it hasn't been confirmed. So
no. That part is not. But the Antifa part, there have been reliable sightings and reports, not confirmed. But I mean, it's pretty specific. Being armed with chainsaws, falling telephone poles in the hopes of starting further fires, and the looting, burglaries in the outlying areas all over Clackamas County is definitely confirmed.
Yeah. All right, so we've agreed. I mean, it's been moved to second. It checked the box.
They want the curfew. Portland, Oregon. Portland police arrest an arsonist who lit a field on fire using a Molotov cocktail. From Andy No, breaking, Portland police arrested a man today suspected of starting a brush fire using a Molotov cocktail. Firefighters extinguished the grass fire before it could spread further. Domingo Lopez Jr., 45, was arrested. He was quickly released without bail. What is this? What is this? Now, it appears that a lot of these folks are transients, homeless. What does that mean? I don't care what the FBI tells you, what they say. There is something very nefarious going on the West Coast. You do not have these wildfires erupt all over the place at the same exact time, arrest 30 or so people for arson, and then say it's climate change and think that we're so stupid that we don't know it. I mean, it's ridiculous. So we're following this. I'll be reporting on it. I don't care what the FBI says. I don't care. My lying eyes, believe your lying eyes. There is something very serious going on the West Coast. There is it appears to be, people are saying, even police, there is some sort of an effort to start wildfires on the West Coast right now in states that have already been bruised and battered. There was some little liberal dude that came after me. His name was Colby or something. You have a very large following. You should be more responsible about telling me to be more responsible about what I tweet. You lied to the entire country for 5 years about Russians infiltrating the White House, you loser. You should be more responsible. I wanted to also show you guys, again, we're going to be following the story. Make sure you keep your eyes peeled. I wanted to show you guys quickly a clip from Richard Grinnell at the Trump Vegas rally, a beautiful, beautiful rally with goodness knows how many tens of thousands of people in attendance. Was so awesome to see people just not care anymore about the nonsense, get out of their houses and go to these rallies. I think it's a genius idea that President Trump is having these rallies. Super excited that it's back. Here is the amazing patriot Richard Grinnell talking at the rally in Vegas yesterday. If it ever starts playing. Come on. Of course not. Why would it? Because I want to.
First of all, let me just thank you. I have to thank every single person in this room for coming out for our great president. Let me tell you one thing that I learned about being in Washington, D.C. There's a whole group of people in Washington, D.C. who hate the outsider. They have their own rules. You see, their rules allow them to go to San Francisco, get their hair done, and then they demand an apology from you for not keeping a secret. The whole town works on secrets, backroom deals. They spoon feed you information. They keep information from you.
I love him. I just love him. I really do. Last night, I had a great time, by the way, before we closed the show today. I actually went down to a place down in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, and I sat with Liz Calloway and Nick Summers from 94.5 here in South Carolina, and we did like a mass debate Monday, and they had me there for I had a half an hour, and I talked to everybody and shared knowledge, and it was just really fantastic to see everybody and have a radio station that really supports the truth. So thank you to the Liz Calloway show. Super awesome. Station manager was amazing too. And then I have 2 weeks from now, I'm going down to DC for the Unsilent Majority March on Washington. That is going to be a fantastic event. Lots of amazing speakers. Vernon Jones will be there. Friday night, they have Lara Trump, Katie Hopkins, Shamika Michelle. They're doing a women's town hall. And then Saturday is a march and a rally. And then the week after that, as soon as I come home, I am off to Miami for the American Priority Conference at Trump Doral in Miami. That is going to be a really amazing one. They've got all the doctors, the frontline doctors coming. Matt Gaetz will be there. A whole bunch of really awesome people will be there. I think that Tina woman from Staten Island, the crazy lady, she'll be there. It's going to be fun. Just a lot of patriots. I think it's getting close to sold out. So make sure you go there. You can go to the American Priority 2020 website and get your tickets using promo code BEANS. You've got to have COVID fever. Get yourselves out of the house. Anna Kate's going to be there. A whole bunch. Scott Pressler. Just everybody. Going to be a really good event. So you guys have been listening to Uncover DC with Tracy Beanz here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM. Keep your eyes peeled on Uncover DC because we're going to be doing a ton of work in the next 2 weeks or so. So much stuff will be coming out. You can hear us on Cloud Hub every day, every Tuesday and Thursday when we broadcast, on Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, RightAmericaMedia.com, DLive, Facebook, everywhere. And go to UncoverDC.com. Until Thursday, guys. Talk to you soon.
For hardworking Americans, Uncover DC with Tracy Beanz on WSMN, AM 1590 and FM 95.3.
Now I've taken the side of a beautiful call. Can you see this disguise fading to a resolve? And there it goes, my innocence, we're gathering up a compliment. Here I lie with words to swear. There's something more than the world out there. The world out there.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN1590.com.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
You'll see some very great things happening in the Middle East. You're going to have peace without blood in the sand. For years, you had blood in the sand. That's all you had, blood in the sand. You got nothing for it. They got nothing for it. Now you're going to have peace, and it'll be a real peace.
President Trump's comments as a historic peace deal normalizes relations between Israel, Bahrain, and the UAE. Speaking on CNBC, the California Democrat says she's optimistic the White House will understand that they have to do something.
There is no later with this administration. This is the opportunity. And a skinny deal is a Republican bill. That's not a deal at all.
Pelosi saying Republicans don't mind that the Fed Reserve is spending trillions of dollars to shore up the economy. So she says, let's shore up the middle class. The Senate and House are in session this week. This is USA Radio News.
It's totally normal to be constipated with belly pain, straining, and bloating again and again.
No way.
Maybe it's occasional constipation.
Maybe it's not.
You could have a chronic condition called irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives to help relieve belly pain and let you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Individual results may vary. Do not give to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Maybe it's not occasional constipation. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. You may be able to talk to a doctor online. Visit linzess.com. Sponsored by Allergan and Iron.
Hurricane Sally is approaching the Gulf Coast, but at a snail's pace. The National Hurricane Center saying the storm is moving to the northwest at just 2 miles an hour. The mayor of Gulfport, Mississippi, Billy Hughes, telling Fox News.
The ground gets saturated and the tree roots can't hold, and they start coming over. They take down power lines, and it's a pretty bad domino effect. So we just got to, be vigilant and hope this thing moves on. But we know that the rain event, the water event, is upon us, and we just kind of to make sure people are prudent and watch out for down power lines, stay out of the way of trees, that sort of thing, and just get out of harm's way if you can.
The storm is expected to reach land late tonight or tomorrow. The sheriff of Los Angeles County is asking Black Lives Matter supporter LeBron James to step up and provide money to help find the gunman responsible for the shooting of 2 deputies. Alex Villanueva asking James to match or even double the $175,000 reward being offered. This is USA Radio News.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-610-5739. 800-610-5739. That's 800-610-5739. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Chick-fil-A will be coming to the San Antonio airport after all. The FAA has reportedly reached a deal with the city regarding their decision to ban the chicken chain because of their religious donations that focus on traditional marriage. Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott telling Fox News.
This was a part of our last legislative session. We had what we called the Chick-fil-A bill. It was a bill to ensure that cities and businesses would not be discriminated against because of the religious beliefs of the owners of those businesses, which we believe was behind the act by the city of San Antonio to prohibit Chick-fil-A from having one of their locations in a San Antonio airport, despite the fact that it's like one of the favorite restaurants in the state of Texas. And so we had all these images and all this signing, pomp and circumstance about signing the Chick-fil-A bill last session. It's great to finally see this come to fruition so that people will not be discriminated against simply because of the religious beliefs they hold.
And finally, Japan is starting to take the topic of UFOs more seriously. The Japanese defense minister on Monday laying out instructions for what that country's self-defense forces should do in the event of a close encounter. His instructions follow a meeting last week with U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
Celtics, Miami Heat, Eastern Conference Final, Game 1 tonight. Miami slight favorites? Probably. Brad Stevens.
They're an excellent offense, and I just can't tell you how exceptionally well coached they are. Everybody knows that, but I think that when you're diving in as an opposing coach, you great admiration for what they do on both ends. Everything they run has a purpose. Everything they run has a direct line to the strengths of their players. Just really, really good.
Brad Stevens. If the Celtics do have an edge in this series, and they do have a slight edge, the consensus is this: it's on defense. Jaylen Brown.
Being versatile, and it's something that's probably the reason why, I think we're so good as a team, because we're so versatile. So being able to guard multiple guys, it's going to take a group team effort to do so.
Jaylen Brown. Gordon Hayward did practice yesterday, very close to returning to the lineup. Follow me on Twitter at Tom Cuddy Sports.
Hi, this is Tony Joyce from Joyce Cooling and Heating. Even though it's still warm out, now is a good time to try your heating system, and hopefully it will work. If not, give us a call about upgrading your existing heating system to a new Lennox high-efficiency furnace, a Rinnai high-efficiency boiler, or a Mitsubishi high-efficiency heat pump. These new systems are much more reliable and will save you energy. Don't wait until you have no heat. Call Joyce Cooling and Heating at 882-4244 or on the web at joycecool.com.
And now, a word from our weather sponsor.
Check out Russo's Flooring and Installations. Call Phil Russo now. That's 1-866-61-FLOOR. Or go to their website at p.russo@russoflooring.com. You'll be floored by his quality and prices.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Rosenthal. Here's what's happening for southern New Hampshire for this afternoon. Lots of sunshine and blue sky. There'll be a few clouds around. It'll be nice. Temps about 65. Clear sky overnight in the mid-40s. Tomorrow with southwest winds, high pressure moving south of New England. We'll warm up 70 to 75 degrees. And on Thursday, it's partly sunny, warm and muggy, 75 to 80. There could be a shower or storm late in the day or at night. Much cooler air comes in late this week, straight on through the weekend. For WSMN 1590 and WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua, I'm Mark Rosenthal.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and or associates.
If words were weapons, his mouth would be a belt-fed M249. It's the Daily Review with Keith Hansen.